Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome to this new channel. Welcome to this new video. Okay. Welcome to this video. In this video, we're going to examine the life of Jephthah. What are we calling this video? We're calling this video Unlocking Biblical Truths During the Lockdown. Yeah, we're all sitting at home during this lockdown, and we thought, okay, it's high time we examine the Bible. We read the Bible and meditated the verses and to unravel scriptural truths about the biblical characters that are featured in the Word of God. Okay, today who are we going to read about?
Jephthah.
Jephthah, okay, Jephthah. We're going to read about Jephthah today. He is mentioned in two books. He's mentioned in the book of Judges, and he's also mentioned in the book of Hebrews. Coming to the book of Judges, he's mentioned in two chapters. Chapter 11 and chapter 12 talk about Jephthah. Now, this word Jephthah means, actually it means two things. One, and both these things are related. One meaning of the word Jephthah is set free. Set free. Another meaning of the word Jephthah is it actually means he will open. He will open. So one who opens and one who sets free. Okay, so that is Jephthah. In Hebrew, the word Jephthah is pronounced as Iftah. I'm sorry about this background noise. We are actually not sitting in a studio. We're actually sitting in our office, and the office is pretty close to the roadside. So you would see vehicles going and coming and all that noise. So kindly excuse us. Before we get to the book of Judges, shall we turn our attention to Hebrews chapter 11 verse 32. Hebrews 11:32. What more shall I say? For the time would fail me to tell of Gideon and Barak and Samson and Jephthah. So Jephthah is mentioned in the book of Hebrews. Chapter 11 of the book of Hebrews, we know, as you also probably know, most of you would know, this is a chapter which exclusively deals with the heroes of faith. Okay, it's a chapter which talks about the Hall of Fame of faith heroes. So that's where you read about Jephthah in the New Testament. Now, going back to the book of Judges, chapter 11, we're going to read about Jephthah there. We are going to talk about 9 attributes of Jephthah. Okay, is that okay?
Yes.
9 attributes of Jephthah. Number 1, the first and foremost attribute of Jephthah. He was a man despised. You get that?
Yes.
He was a man who was despised.
Thrown away.
Thrown out, yes. He was a man who was despised by his own brothers. We're going to read about that shortly. Would you turn with me to Judges chapter 11 verse 1 and 2. Verses 1 and 2. Okay. Now Jephthah the Gileadite was a mighty man of valor, but he was the son of a harlot, and Gilead begot Jephthah. Jephthah was from the clan of Gilead. He was a Gileadite. Okay, and verse 2. Gilead's wife bore sons, and when his wife's sons grew up, they drove Jephthah out. As you said, they threw him out. Okay, they threw him out and said to him, you shall have no inheritance in our father's house, for you are the son of another woman. In other words, Jephthah was the son of a prostitute. He was born out of wedlock. So the first attribute of Jephthah that we need to know about is he was a man who was despised. Okay? Does it ring a bell to you? You know, Jesus Christ was also a man who was despised. We read in Isaiah 53:3. He is despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. That's Jesus Christ. And we hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised. You know what I'm saying? He was despised, and we did not esteem him, it says. We did not esteem him. And in the Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 10, he was in the world, and the world was made through him, and the world did not know him. Meaning, they completely shunned him. The world shunned him. The world ignored Jesus. And the next verse, the 11th verse says, he came to his own, and his own did not receive him. And his own did not receive him. So Jesus Christ was also, like Jephthah, a man despised. When we come to the book of Hebrews, chapter 4, verse 15. For we do not have a high priest who cannot sympathize with our weaknesses, but was in all points tempted as we are, yet without sin. So we have, in Jesus Christ, we have a high priest who sympathizes with our weaknesses. He was despised, and he knows what it is to go through sorrows. Isaiah 53:3, we read him as a man of sorrows. As a man of sorrows, he has been through hard times and come out victoriously, and hence knows our frame. He knows we are dust. He sympathizes with us. Okay, so that's the first attribute of Jephthah. And coming to the second one, the second aspect of Jephthah, he was a man of peace. I want to read from Judges chapter 11, verse 3.
Jephthah fled from his brothers and settled in the land of Tob, where a group of adventurers gathered round him and followed him.
Okay, I think NIV is very, very, sympathetic to the cause of the people around Jephthah. I'm reading the verse from NKJV, and NKJV calls the people around him worthless men, men of no honor, men who are despised, like Jephthah. The people who rallied around Jephthah were men like Jephthah. They were despised. They had no homes where they were honored. So they were actually practically living out on the streets, and they rallied around Jephthah. So the second aspect of Jephthah was that he was a man of peace. I'm turning to Isaiah 9:6. There's a wonderful promise and prophecy about Jesus Christ. Isaiah 9:6. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government will be upon his shoulder, and his name will be called Wonderful, Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. That is important. Jesus Christ was and is and will be the Prince of Peace. If Jephthah, a man who lived for a short time, a man mortal like us, if he can be called as a man of peace. Now I want to explain why he is called as a man of peace, why I would like to call him as a man of peace. Look at verse 2. Why don't you read verse 2 of Judges 11?
Okay. Gilead's wife also bore him sons,
Okay.
and when they were grown up, they drove Jephthah away.
Okay.
You're not going to get any inheritance in our family, they said, because you are a son of another woman.
Okay. And what did Jephthah do? Then Jephthah fled from his brothers and dwelt in the land of Tob, it says. And that is the reason why I'm calling Jephthah as a man of peace. When his own brothers came to him and said, you have no inheritance among us, you need to run, scoot now, you need to go away. When they said that in so many words, Jephthah did not stand and contest with them.
He did not fight back.
He did not fight back. He did not say, I have a legitimate right to my dad's inheritance. I need to get it. If you will have so many portions, I will have at least one portion of my dad's inheritance with me. He did not do that. Now, I want to bring a contrast with another man's life here. We read about Gideon.
Yes.
Gideon also had 70 sons. Gideon had 70 sons, probably legitimate sons from marriages. But he also had a son who was born out of wedlock. Okay, he was born to a prostitute. He was born to, and what is the name of that son? Abimelech. Okay, Abimelech. We read about him in chapter 9 of Judges. Okay, this man actually slew 70 sons of Gideon. He hit back. And before even the sons of Gideon could group together, gang together, and stand against Abimelech actually took the lead. He slew all these 70 sons on a single day. Only one escaped. We read only one escaped. Now the character the behavior, or what do you say? The conduct, that's the right word. The conduct of Jephthah was in stark contrast to what Abimelech did.
Exactly.
When Abimelech conspired against his own brothers, we see Jephthah fleeing his brothers. Why did he flee? Because his brothers ganged up against him and said, "You have no inheritance among us. You need to run. You need to go away from this place." Jephthah did not contest it. He actually he just ran away. He disappeared from the scene, and he went far away and lived in a land. That land was called Tob. Okay, and that's why I'm saying Jephthah was a man of peace. Okay, the third attribute of Jephthah is that he was a man of prayer. I'm reading from verse 11 of Judges 11. Judges 11. Okay, then Jephthah went with the elders of Gilead, and the people made him head and commander over them. And Jephthah spoke all his words before the Lord in Mizpah. I like that verse, don't you? You know, he spoke all his words before the Lord in Mizpah. In other words, there was not a word that he had in his heart that he did not utter out, that he did not speak to the Lord at Mizpah. You know, what a wonderful experience. Is that your experience? When you pray, do you withhold things from him? Do you think, okay, God knows my situation. God knows everything about me. Why should I go and narrate my woes to him? God actually loves hearing you. God actually loves hearing from you. He needs to hear from you. We read here, Jephthah spoke all his words before the Lord in Mizpah. It was not before the men. The men came to Jephthah, and when they were probably gone, when they went out of that place, Jephthah took some time out, went to the place in Mizpah. Why Mizpah? Okay, that's another aspect of Mizpah. Okay, the word Mizpah in Hebrew means watchtower. Watchtower. Okay, from where soldiers can watch over for enemies who are nearing them. Okay, Mizpah, the first instance of Mizpah in the Bible is in Genesis 31, 48 and 49. And Laban said, "This heap is a witness between you and me this day." Therefore its name was called Galeed, also Mizpah. Because he said, "May the Lord watch between you and me, and when you are absent one from another." Okay? That's Mizpah is a place where Jacob and Laban made a covenant, made a treaty, made a peace treaty. They said, "Okay, you go your way, I'm going my way. Let's not encroach upon each other's territories. This heap of stones that we have put here is a witness. Okay, that is going to witness against me or against you if we trespass and cross into each other's territories." Okay, so coming back to Judges 11. Now, why did Jephthah choose Mizpah as a place where he could go and speak to the Lord all his words? Have you wondered? Okay, one reason would be Mizpah was a place where the Ark of the Covenant was during the time of the Judges, or probably Mizpah was a place where the tabernacle of God was. Okay, that is the significance of Mizpah. The Lord's presence was there in Mizpah, and that's the reason why Jephthah went to this place called Mizpah and spoke all his words, everything that he had to say, had to tell the Lord. In other words, he poured out his heart. He poured out his heart. He made a clean breast of himself. There was nothing that he hid from the Lord. Whatever he had to tell him, he told him. And how would he have gone back? He would have gone back rejoicing because he had poured out his heart. Now his heart was empty. His heart was, before he went to the Lord in prayer, he was probably burdened. Now after prayer, his heart was full of praise probably. He would have been singing and exalting and glorifying God. Okay, that's another thing. So the fourth important attribute of Jephthah that we need to look at is that